There is a bowl of black rock sitting on the top shelf of my cellar, and my house hasn't smelled like a basement in 2 years. Not a spray, not a plug-in. $2 of plain charcoal in an old cotton bowl, and the smell is gone. Not covered up, gone. The same material has been keeping cellars, closets, and cold rooms clean in this community since before anybody called it by its proper name. By the end of this, you will know exactly where to place it in your own house, how long it works, and why nobody at the store thought to mention it. My name is Brother Abram. I farm in a Mennonite community in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I've been keeping this house clean the way my father did and his father before him. We don't use what most folks use. We don't have the sprays under the sink or the little plug-ins in the hallway. What we have is charcoal, plain activated charcoal, which is what the stores call it. In this community, we've always just called it charcoal, and we've used it in the cellar, in the cold room, in the barn, and in the house for as long as anyone here can remember. It doesn't add a smell. It removes one. That is the whole difference between what we do and what the modern system sells you. And I want to be straight with you right now. I'm going to tell you the part that should make you a little uneasy, which is that this is not a secret. The people behind the sprays and the plug-ins have known about charcoal for a long time. Stay with me. Let me give you the full picture first. Before I tell you where to put the charcoal, let me tell you what most folks get wrong about smell. Because if you don't understand this, the charcoal won't make sense. When your basement smells like mold, or your closet smells like old clothes, the mold or the fabric is releasing tiny particles into the air. A smell is physical material floating in the air and landing in your nose. A spray sends out its own particles, stronger and sweeter, and your nose pays attention to those instead. The original particles are still there. The mold is still there. You gave your nose something louder to focus on. That is not cleaning. That is distraction. Charcoal does the opposite. Its surface is covered in millions of tiny pores. Picture the most complicated sponge ever made, except the holes are so small, a smell molecule slips inside and stays there. 1 teaspoon of this material, if you could unfold all those surfaces, covers the area of roughly 4 tennis courts. As air moves past the charcoal, odor molecules drift in, get trapped, and stay. The smell isn't masked. It's pulled out of the air and held. And in a minute, I'll show you the one mistake that stops this from working. Simple mistake, but it ruins the whole thing. One more thing before placement. Not all charcoal does this. The briquettes in your grill aren't the same. Regular charcoal hasn't been through the process that opens up those pores. When you buy activated charcoal in aquarium supply or health food stores or some hardware stores, you're buying something treated specifically to create that enormous surface. That is the one you want. The cellar and basement is where charcoal earns its keep fastest. The smell of a damp basement comes from moisture and from the mold that moisture grows. Set your charcoal on a shelf near the foundation walls where the moisture seeps in, but not on the concrete floor where air can't circulate underneath. In a damp space, you need more charcoal than in a dry one because moisture fills the pores faster than odors do. A few cups spread across 2 or 3 open containers will handle a typical basement. In closets, put 1 bowl or cloth bag on the floor, not hung from the rod. Smells rise, and if you hang the charcoal high, it gets to the smell last. Put it low, where the air is heavier. A closet is a small, enclosed space, so even a modest amount of charcoal works fast. You'll notice a difference inside a week. For the refrigerator, set a small container in the back of the middle shelf, away from direct contact with food. The refrigerator circulates its own air, which moves odor molecules past the charcoal continuously. It handles the kinds of smells that baking soda misses, the old fish, the onion, the full range of what a working fridge collects. For shoes, Slip a small mesh bag directly inside after you take them off. The enclosed space is exactly where charcoal works best. By the next morning, most folks can tell. After a week, even boots that have been through a full season come out smelling like nothing in particular. For pet areas, place charcoal near where the animals sleep and near the litter box, close enough to catch what's in the air. Not so close the cat finds another use for it. The drop in odor happens over 2 to 3 days. Now here is the mistake I told you about. People take their charcoal, put it in a sealed plastic bag or a lidded jar, and wonder why nothing changes. Sealed in plastic, charcoal can't work. The air can't reach the pores. You need contact. A bowl with nothing on top, a mesh bag, an old cotton sock, a piece of breathable cloth tied with string. Anything that lets the air move through. In this community, the women have always filled old cotton socks with charcoal and set them in the cellar among the stored roots and jars. The cellar smelled of earth, not rot. That is all they used. For quantities, a cup of charcoal handles a small room or a large closet. A tablespoon in a cloth bag handles a drawer or a pair of shoes. A pound spread across a few containers handles a whole basement. You don't need to measure precisely. What you need is enough surface exposed to enough moving air. And it's safe. Charcoal is a mineral. It doesn't release anything into the air. It takes things out. Children run past it. Dogs sniff it and walk away. The main practical concern is keeping the powder away from light-colored surfaces where it leaves a mark. I said forever, and I owe you an honest account of what that means. One batch, maintained the right way, will work for 1.5 to 2 years without spending another dollar. That is what we see here. The maintenance is simple. Once a month, on a clear sunny morning, take the charcoal outside and set it in direct sunlight for an hour or 2. The heat pulls some of what it's trapped back out into the open air and frees up the pores again. We set ours on the fence rail on a Saturday morning and leave it until noon. That is all there is to it. What you don't do is put it in the microwave or oven to speed things up. The fine particles can catch. The sun does the job safely and costs nothing. When the charcoal is finally spent, 2 years out, or maybe a little more, you work it into the garden soil. It improves drainage in clay soil, helps sandy soil hold water, and gives soil microbes something to live in. The smell leaves your house and feeds your tomatoes. I find that about right. Nothing wasted. So forever means 2 years of steady work, then a fresh start in your garden. Now, here is what I said I'd come back to. None of this is a secret. The chemistry behind activated charcoal isn't new. Scientists have understood how those pores work for more than 200 years. The companies selling the sprays, the plug-in refills, the crystal tubs on the hardware store shelf. They know about charcoal. They've always known. A family that relies on store-bought fresheners spends somewhere between $300 and $500 a year on them, year after year, for as long as they live in that house. A pound of good activated charcoal costs about $15 and handles a whole house for 2 years. There's no business in that for them. That is not a conspiracy. That is arithmetic. There is also something most folks don't stop to consider. When you spray a commercial air freshener, you're not just covering the smell, you're adding something to the air you breathe. Researchers studying indoor air quality have found that many synthetic air fresheners contain chemicals that irritate the lungs and linger in household dust long after the spray is gone. You pay money to put something into your air in order to cover up something that charcoal would have simply removed. Folks outside our community sometimes ask why we still do things the old way when the new way is right on the shelf. This is one of the reasons. When you stop buying the monthly refill, you start noticing how many other monthly refills there are. One more honest thing before we close. Charcoal works best in enclosed or semi-enclosed spaces where air moves past it. In a wide open room it still works, but more slowly, and you need more of it. In a very humid space, a bathroom that runs hot and steamy every morning, it saturates faster. You may need to put it in the sun every 2 to 3 weeks instead of once a month. Charcoal also removes odors from the air. It doesn't clean the surface that is causing the smell. If mold is on the wall, the mold needs to come off the wall. Charcoal is what you place out after the job is done, not instead of doing the job. Here is what I want you to do this weekend. Find a bowl. Fill it with a cup of activated charcoal. Pet supply stores carry it, health food stores carry it, and you can order it loose online for a few dollars a pound. Set it on the floor of your most troublesome closet or in the corner of your basement. Come back in a week. Tell me in the comments what you found. I read every one. The results people report back are the reason I keep recording. $2 a bowl. A sunny Saturday morning once a month. That is the whole of it. The people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember. Next time, I want to show you what my grandmother kept in a small clay pot through every winter in this house. 3 things from the kitchen pantry. Nothing you'd guess were meant to go together. And what they did for the air in a cold, shut-up house that no open window could fix. I will see you then.